This clip is brought to you by SaveWithConrad.com.
Next up, we get the first half of the Roddy Piper Goldust match that took place in a Hollywood backlot taped the day before. Meltzer would say after editing, the footage aired in a 4 minute and 23 segment, 4 minute and 23 second segment. It was basically a collection of movie fighting scenes and was about as good as it could have been. Goldust came in driving a gold caddy. Piper sprayed it with a water hose and bashed out the windows with a baseball bat. Piper got a few bat shots in, smashed Goldust into a food table and hit him hard with a garbage bin and threw several garbage cans on him. He then sprayed Goldust with the hose, slammed him on the hood of a car, gave him a fist drop on the hood, and Piper's punches were so stiff, he appeared to open up his hand, and Goldust was opened hard way in 3 possible different spots. He continues to break it down, but it gets rough to the point that there's a low blow. We're ramming Piper into a garbage bin. And then Piper even gets in front of the car and Goldust basically runs him over and Piper's holding on to the hood. And then of course we get the famous silliness where Piper gives chase with a white Ford Bronco. But as they're doing this gives, I guess a let me up for what we're about to see. We've talked about this on the Goldust episode and the Piper episode, but let's briefly revisit. What do you remember of the Backlot Brawl, when it was shot, and how difficult it was to put together?
Well, first of all, of course, since we're talking about the person that doesn't know what they're talking about out in California writing this shit, it was done over a week before WrestleMania. Shot in the studios. I believe we were at MGM Studios, Disney Studios there in California. Mitch Ackerman and Larry Burton actually got us the use of the studios if we would use the guy, what the hell was his name? Kevin Conway from Taxi and Grease.
Okay.
And it was like, oh, hey, yeah, you just got to shoot him and make sure that he's, seen in the shot or something like that. And go, oh yeah. Okay. We'll get right on that. Don't worry.
Jeff Conaway.
What is it?
Jeff Conaway.
And it was like, okay, we shot him. Didn't make a lot of the final cut, but this was absolutely brutal because you had 2 pros in Piper and Goldust who didn't want to smarten up the Hollywood crowd. Even though we walked through it, and there were people there and shit, they beat the living shit out of each other. Piper broke his wrist, broke part of his hand and his wrist in the fight. And Goldust, I think, got whacked in the head pretty good with one of those shots. And I love that, Meltzer talks about how it was a stunt double to do the run over scene. No, that was Roddy Piper. That was Roddy saying, hey, come on, man, come, just gun it. Trust me. If I don't make it, run me over. It'll be great TV. And back in those days, we did stupid shit like that. Can you imagine having that conversation now?
No.
You'd have 9 ways from Sunday, making sure everyone was protected. But there was faith in Roddy that Roddy was going to move and he would get out of the way. And the car hit Roddy and hit him pretty good. So all of that stuff, it was absolutely brutal, but in the end, I thought it looked great. And it was one of those things that you didn't know what to expect going in. And then after you saw it, it was like, all right, I think that in some ways the audience would have been almost happy with just what they saw at that point.
Yeah, I would totally agree. It could have ended right then. But the Ford Bronco, like we've briefly touched on this before. There was even an idea, by the way, if you're not picking up on this is right after, or not right after, but not too terribly long after the famous or infamous rather, OJ Bronco chase. OJ Simpson, of course, was accused of murdering 2 people, including his ex-wife. And, he, along with his friend Al, went on a slow speed chase through the streets of LA in a white Ford Bronco. So we're going to recreate that here, but that wasn't as far as the OJ talk went for this show, right?
No, there was at one point that, Roddy actually wanted to fight OJ and have that as part of WrestleMania and beat the shit out of OJ. That's what Roddy wanted. We thought about it probably for a few seconds, but America, I don't think would have bought that or been interested. I think that there was enough sentiment on both sides, those that thought OJ was innocent and or that were okay with what allegedly happened, and those that felt that he was guilty and murdered two people and got away with it. He was acquitted, and sad story, man. Just a sad story on every part. But the White Bronco was there. It was Hollywood and it was California. So let's have some fun with it. And that scene of OJ traveling down whatever highway it was so iconic.
Right.
That anytime you saw that, you knew what people were talking about. If you were talking about ratings back in the day, holy shit, I'd love to know what the ratings were for the Bronco chase, because people were glued to their television wondering what the hell was going to happen. We were going to a Train, Ricky Medlock. Help me out here. What's the name of his band? Ricky's band. We were going to a concert. We were going to see Ricky Medlock in New Haven.
Are you saying Leonard Skinner?
He is with Leonard Skinner now, but he had a band.
Oh, Blackfoot?
Blackfoot. Thank you. God, I went blank.
Well, I was like, I know you're not talking about Leonard Skinner. I mean, you get your ass kicked not remembering that.
Oh my God. No, I definitely. But, we sat in my condo just watching this thing, mesmerized. Taker and Raven. We just sat there watching this thing going, oh my God, what's this ending going to be like? And so the White Bronco was iconic.
It was. Who pushed for that idea? I feel like you're sort of taking credit for that.
I don't know who the hell came up with that. Frankly, it was something. It was probably one of those things that were suggested in jest,
right?
That then became a real thing.
Let's keep it moving here. Let's talk about the next skit, man. During the show, they continually show scenes of the OJ chase, trying to put over that it was.
Whoa. Wait a minute. No, we actually had a helicopter that was.
Fuck off, Bruce. Come on. I love you just trying to sell the shit, grinning ear to ear. So when Goldust arrives to the building to pick up Marlena, he bumps into Pat Patterson, who was either back there just for the weekend or back I depending on who you talk to. So that's directly from the Observer. I guess this was I guess that's one of Meltzer's or one of Pat's. What was the word you used? Hiatuses. But you've sort of said before that Pat would often sort of get frustrated because he was getting older, and he would say, "Oh, I'm too old for this. I'm retired. I'm going home." But then he'd pop back up for the big shows, right?
No, this was actually the first show Pat had been to, I think, since he had retired.
Okay.
And at that time,
right.
the first time, the first big screen TV. But Pat had, been talking to us and been talking to Vince about wanting to do this match. And I was getting married. Pat and Louie wanted to be there for the wedding.
Okay.
So he's like, I'm coming to your wedding. I'm going to go to WrestleMania. I just want to watch that match live. Well, instead of watching the match live, fuck you, Pat. You're going to work.
Right.
You're going to put that fucking match together.
Right.
So congratulations. Yes, you come on out and have a good time and come to the wedding and watch WrestleMania, but sprinkle some Pat Patterson dust on it.
How hard was this to shoot from a continuity standpoint, where you acknowledged we shot the Backlot Brawl stuff several days prior, and now these guys have to show up in similar condition, which I understand why you sort of wet everything down, because that way, if it was raining or wasn't raining, it was wet either way. I get that. But when they show back up, you need someone to have had a photo of Goldust to make sure he sort of looked like he did when that brawl was done. And same with Piper, right?
Absolutely. And, blood dries and turns brown. So, they're in the same clothes. And on top of that, Roddy had a broken wrist and hand.
Right.
So that was the reason for Roddy grabbing the tape on the way to the ring, so that he could at least tape it up and go out and do what he did to kind of strengthen his wrist and hand a little bit there. Because he obviously didn't have it when we left, and Roddy wasn't going to go out with a cast and just say, oh, well, figure out a way to get that on him. He's like, no, just take it all off and I'll recast afterwards. Was
the Pat cameo planned? Like, hey,
no, that was Pat being in the fucking way.
Okay.
Not knowing we're coming through live.
I'm just saying sometimes there's an Easter egg, right?
No, there's no Easter eggs. Those are fuck ups.
Okay. So when they caught you taking a shit in Titan Tower last year during COVID, you were really just shitting in your Full Brother Love gear. Okay. All right. I got it. My apologies.
Damn.
So Goldust gets on top of Piper, basically
stop saying that.
Attempting to screw him and wanting to start kissing him. And then he goes to the top rope. Piper shakes the rope. Goldust crotches himself. Goldust comes back with headbutts, kisses Piper, which leads to a Superman comeback. Piper grabs Goldust's crotch, starts squeezing, throws a knee to the groin, starts spanking him. Then he rips the costume off, and we reveal that Goldust was wearing black women's undies. And we've talked about this in the Goldust episode. How much fun did Vince have with this creative of what if he was wearing negligee?
I think that was probably more us than Vince. Kind of is what would Goldust be wearing?
Right.
And, getting all of that out there. So that was, I can't pass that one off. That was more of a trying to have fun with it, and talent had input on that as well.
Let's talk about what's next. It's the main event, and it's, before I do, Roddy got a cool little moment here with his son Colton in the ring. And we saw this in more recent years with Goldberg and his son. It's kind of a sweet thing. Is this something that was impromptu, or did Piper run it past and say, hey, what if?
Roddy asked me if he could bring his son in after the ring, and that was something that was really important to Roddy, and I thought it was great.
It's very cool.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson. Thanks for checking out the podcast here on YouTube. Be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notifications bell so you get a notice anytime we upload some new content. And go save yourself some money right now. If you're in a 30-year loan or you have credit card debt, it's not a matter of if I can save you money. It's a matter of how much. Find out right now for free at SaveWithConrad.com.